Friday was a low-budget movie. When we first did the first movie, it was so good, I had said, we know these characters, know this. You know, I know what it need to be, and they don't.
When Friday dropped in 1995, everyone laughed, but no one saw what was really going on behind the camera. What looked like comedy on screen hid a truth that Ice Cube has kept quiet for years, until now. Once you hear it, you'll never see the movie the same way again. What really went down on the set of Friday? And why is Ice Cube just now talking about it? Join us as we uncover the dark truth fans were never meant to see. Ice Cube's unexpected move. Before he transitioned into comedy, Ice Cube was known for his interesting lyrics and no-nonsense attitude. He wasn't someone people expected to joke around. His music spoke of anger and, mostly, complex survival. Then he announced he wanted to make people laugh. To fans, it sounded quite odd. To Hollywood, it sounded not just odd, but very risky for his career. In the early 1990s, most movies about black neighborhoods focused on crime. Movies like Boys in the Hood showed the streets of Los Angeles as dangerous and a field of relentless pursuit of money and influence. Ice Cube knew that side well, but he also knew something those films did not expose: the entire truth. There was laughter too. Friends hanging out, neighbors arguing, and families trying to stay happy. Life wasn't always dark. It had joy and real moments. That part was missing on screen, and Cube wanted to change it. When he shared his plan to make a comedy about everyday life in South Central, people were shocked. His friends and even his crew questioned him. Some said he was selling out, others thought it would ruin his name. But Ice Cube wasn't trying to please anyone. He had a goal in mind, and that was to tell the truth his way. Life, even in hard times, could still be funny. He teamed up with DJ Pooh, who also grew up in South Central. The two wanted to make something real.
You know, I mean, DJ Pooh, he's like one of those undercover geniuses that...
Something that showed ordinary people just living their lives. They didn't have a big studio or budget, but they had stories to tell. Together, they wrote about one day in the neighborhood. There was no violence or guns, just friends and happy moments that showed what life was really like. That simple idea totally changed comedy. But making Friday wasn't easy. There were disagreements and doubts about how the story should go. Some people didn't believe in it. Studios thought it wouldn't sell. Even those close to Cube worried it might fail. But he refused to give up. That determination was the same fuel that made him Ice Cube. Before he became Ice Cube, he was O'Shea Jackson, a kid from Los Angeles. His father worked as a groundskeeper, and his mother was a hospital clerk. Money was tight, but they taught him the value of hard work. The name Ice Cube came from a joke his brother made, saying he'd put him in the freezer until he turned into one. The nickname stuck and became famous. In high school, O'Shea discovered his love for writing rhymes. A classmate once challenged him to write better lyrics, and from that day, he was hooked. He started performing at local shows and later teamed up with Eazy-E and Dr. Dre. Together, they formed NWA, one of the most influential rap groups in history. Their songs spoke about real life in the streets. Cube's writing stood out for its honesty and directness. So when he decided to create Friday, he saw it as a way to continue doing what he always did, telling true stories. The film opened doors for new voices in comedy and proved that stories from the hood didn't have to end sadly. But it also had its fair share of challenges. What were they? The casting challenge. When Ice Cube left NWA, after a money dispute, he decided to move in his own direction. The split pushed him to tell stories his way. Growing up in South Central Los Angeles gave him real experiences to draw from, and music had helped him share them. But after years in the studio, he wanted to show what life in his neighborhood was really like. Making a movie was new to him. He had to learn about scripts, filming, and working with actors. Still, he was ready to take the risk. Instead of waiting for a studio, Cube teamed up with DJ Pooh to make a film that showed everyday life in their community. The story came straight from their lives. Craig losing his job after being accused of stealing boxes came from something that happened to Cube's cousin. Smokey's weed habits were based on DJ Pooh's own past. Even the tough characters Debo and Craig's father were drawn from people they knew growing up. They wanted the movie to feel real, not like something made up by outsiders.
The rights to Friday, you said?
Well, they have the right to distribute the movie. We did the first one.
Money was tight, and the big studios that could help with financing his idea weren't interested in a small hood comedy. Cube and Pooh looked to examples like Robert Townsend, who made Hollywood Shuffle on credit cards, and Kevin Smith, who made Clerks with very little money. Those stories proved they could do the same and tell a strong story without waiting for approval. Their breakthrough came when New Line Cinema read their script. The studio saw potential in the project and agreed to fund it. It looked like a win, but there was a condition. DJ Pooh couldn't play Smokey. The studio didn't think he had enough acting experience. He stepped aside and took a smaller part as Red, so the film could move forward. Cube then searched for a new actor to play Smokey and found Chris Tucker. Once filming began, Tucker's quick humor gave the movie its spark. His energy matched Cube's calm presence, and their chemistry brought the story to life. For Ice Cube, it was proof that real stories could reach people without a huge budget or studio control. But what did the opportunity to be a part of something revolutionary mean for Chris Tucker? And what about him made him perfect for the role? How Chris Tucker became Smokey in Friday. When Ice Cube and his team began casting for Friday, the role of Smokey was a big deal. They wanted someone funny and authentic. The studio, New Line Cinema, suggested popular names like Chris Rock and Tommy Davidson. They were both established comedians with strong followings. But Ice Cube had another idea. He wanted someone fresh, someone who felt like the real Smokey he'd grown up around. That's when he thought of Chris Tucker, a young comic he'd seen on Def Comedy Jam. Tucker had left Atlanta for Los Angeles in 1990, chasing a comedy career. His loud and fast-talking style made him stand out. Cube believed Tucker had the energy the role needed. He didn't care that Tucker wasn't famous yet. He saw something special that others hadn't.
Yeah, it's a movie that I get commented on more than any other.
But when Tucker showed up for his first audition, things didn't go well. He looked tired and unprepared. The jokes didn't land, and the team began to worry. Some thought Cube had made a mistake by choosing him. Tucker had been doing non-stop stand-up shows and hadn't had time to rest or learn the script properly. By the end of the audition, the excitement around him had faded. For a moment, they thought they might have to restart the search. Time was running out, and the studio was growing impatient. But director F. Gary Gray wasn't ready to give up. He saw potential where others saw failure. Gray believed Tucker had something unique. He fought to give Tucker a second chance, using his own influence to convince the studio to let him try again. While Gray handled the studio, actress Angela Means, who played Felicia in the film, helped Tucker prepare. She invited him to her home, shared dinner, and worked through the lines with him. That support made a difference. When Tucker came back for his next audition, everything clicked. He was confident and full of life. His second try blew everyone away. He didn't just play Smokey, he became him. His quick wit and improvisational skills turned the scenes into pure gold. What had seemed like a casting risk now looked like a perfect match. Tucker's performance went beyond the script. He brought real energy and rhythm to every scene, making Smokey one of the most memorable characters in comedy. His chemistry with Ice Cube gave Friday its heart, and their back-and-forth banter became the movie's signature. That same spark didn't just shine in their lines, it carried over behind the camera, where unscripted moments often turned into pure magic. But how did a few spontaneous choices on set transform Friday from a simple comedy into a cultural classic? The magic and madness behind Friday. It all started with a moment that wasn't even in the script. Angela Means, who played Felicia, was supposed to casually walk up to Ice Cube and Chris Tucker on the porch, but during filming, she decided to step right between them instead. That small change made the scene unforgettable. Tucker's surprise when she sat down was real. He didn't know it was coming. His annoyed reaction made the scene even funnier and more believable. Moments like that gave Friday its charm. The actors were reacting to each other naturally. That chemistry made the film feel alive, like something that could only happen once. Still, the set wasn't as relaxed as it looked on screen. The movie had a small budget, less than $3 million, and the team had just 20 days to finish shooting. Every minute counted. Mistakes meant money, and money was tight. Even though the film had a fun vibe, everyone knew they had to stay sharp. Ice Cube took his job as producer seriously. While many of the characters smoked weed in the movie, he stayed sober throughout filming. He couldn't afford to lose focus. This was his first big movie, and he had to make sure it worked. His determination kept the team moving, even when things got stressful. The film also gave new faces their start. A young Megan Good, only 13 at the time, played one of the neighborhood kids. Michael Clark Duncan made a short appearance as a background craps player, long before The Green Mile made him a star. These small parts would later be remembered as the early steps of big careers.
Of course, it's like, he kind of created Fridays, and I was in the first one.
The real heart of Friday came from how well the actors worked together. Their connection on screen made the story feel real. Viewers felt like they were watching actual neighbors, not characters. Critics noticed it too. The movie's success looked like the start of something huge. Fans wanted more, and studios saw potential for a full series. But while the film seemed smooth from the outside, trouble was quietly brewing behind the scenes. Creative differences and personal tension began to grow between key people. Some wanted to stick to the original idea of showing humor and real life. Others wanted to make the sequels bigger and flashier. Those clashes started to pull the team apart. The bonds that made the first film so special began to break. The unity and spark that had carried Friday were slowly replaced with disagreements and distance. What had started as a fun collaboration turned into a series of strained relationships. Friday became a classic that defined a generation, but the success came with a cost. Behind the laughter and easy chemistry were people dealing with a lot. What were some of the challenges they encountered? Why Chris Tucker walked away from Friday? When Next Friday came out in 2000, fans were shocked to see that Chris Tucker was gone. His absence left people guessing. Why would he leave a role that made him a star? Rumors spread, but Ice Cube later revealed there were two main reasons behind Tucker's choice. First, Tucker had turned down a massive offer, reportedly between $10 and $12 million. That alone surprised everyone. The second reason was more personal. According to Ice Cube, Tucker had grown deeply religious, and playing Smokey no longer fit his personality. It clashed with his beliefs. Later, Tucker confirmed it himself. He said he didn't want to promote drug use or make marijuana seem cool, especially to young fans who looked up to him. He also mentioned that he wasn't a fan of sequels in general. He preferred taking on fresh projects that pushed him to try new things instead of revisiting the same old character. John Witherspoon, who played Craig's father, had his own take on the matter. He believed Tucker's church leaders had advised him to step away from roles that showed drug use or other behaviors that didn't fit his new lifestyle. That advice had a big influence on Tucker's decision.
Studio, I think, want to do it, they didn't want to do it, and then Cube is spearheading that.
But another factor also influenced his decision. Around that time, Tucker was being considered for Rush Hour, a huge Hollywood action comedy that would make him an international star. The paycheck there was enormous. $20 million per movie, something no Friday sequel could match. Witherspoon once joked that if he had been offered that kind of money, he would have made the same choice without thinking twice. Still, Tucker's absence left a gap that fans could feel. Smokey's energy had been a huge part of what made the first Friday special. His chemistry with Ice Cube gave the film its spark. Without him, Next Friday felt different, funny in its own way, but missing that same unpredictable energy. Even years later, people kept asking if Tucker would ever return to the series, but he stayed firm. He said he loved Friday and was proud of it, but he didn't want to go backwards. He wanted to keep growing, both as an actor and as a person. For Chris Tucker, walking away wasn't a loss. It was a step toward a different kind of success. And while fans still miss Smokey, the legacy of that first Friday lives on, reminding everyone how one bold decision can change everything. Behind the laughter and success, though, some wondered if there was more to the story. Was it really just about faith and money? Or were there creative and personal differences that pushed him away from the team? The battle for credit. Most fans believed Chris Tucker left the Friday series because of money or religion, but there was a deeper issue. Faison Love, who played Big Worm and kept in touch with both Tucker and Ice Cube, hinted that tension had been brewing between the two long before Next Friday came out. The problem was about credit and the question of who really made Friday the hit that it became. At the start of Next Friday, there's even a line that seems to throw shade at people claiming credit for writing the first movie. Fans didn't think much of it at first, but those close to the project knew it was aimed at someone specific. At the heart of the conflict was a simple truth. Ice Cube had created, written, and produced Friday. It was his vision, his story, and his risk. But Chris Tucker's quick humor and natural timing had turned many scenes into gold. His off-script moments became some of the movie's biggest highlights. It was remembered long after the credits rolled. As the film's popularity grew, people began to see Tucker as the face of Friday. Fans loved Smokey so much that many believed his performance carried the movie. That attention started to overshadow Ice Cube's behind-the-scenes role as the creator.
Yo, what's up? This is Ice Cube, and you know what I'm doing. I'm doing the Google Audio Complete interview.
To Cube, it felt like his hard work was being forgotten. He had built the foundation, but Tucker was getting most of the applause. On the other hand, Tucker's supporters believed his comedy had given the movie its identity. Without his energy, they said, Friday wouldn't have connected the same way with audiences. His humor wasn't written. It came from instinct. To them, he was more than just an actor in Cube's film. He was part of the reason it became a cultural hit. Both men had valid reasons to feel proud. Ice Cube had shaped the story and made the project happen when few believed in it. Tucker brought it to life with his personality and timing, but their pride in what they'd created slowly turned into distance. What had started as a partnership based on mutual respect became a quiet rivalry about who deserved more recognition. The disagreement didn't explode publicly, but it was clear to those around them that the friendship wasn't the same. The bond they shared while filming the first movie had faded, replaced by tension over credit and creative ownership. In many ways, this clash showed the difficult balance between creativity and collaboration. Cube was a writer and producer, someone who wanted full control of his work. Tucker was an artist who relied on his natural flow. When those two worlds collided, neither wanted to step back. In the end, Tucker moved on to new projects and Cube continued the Friday franchise without him. Fans still argue about who was more important to the film's success, the man who wrote it or the one who made it shine. Ice Cube never hid his belief that sticking to his creative vision was worth it, even if it meant losing some partnerships along the way. He wanted to protect what he had built from being changed by others. But that choice also meant letting go of the chemistry that made Friday so special in the first place. Do you think Chris Tucker's performance was the real magic behind Friday? Or was the movie's success more about Ice Cube's vision and writing? How do you view Ice Cube's reaction to the situation? Was he right to defend his creative credit? Or did he take things too personally? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.